right. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for taking the time to join us today for San Francisco Financial Counseling's webinar, Navigating Student Loans. We do this in partnership with the San Francisco Public Library and also our wonderful service provider, the SF LGBT Center. San Francisco Financial Counseling is one of the flagship programs of the Office of Financial Empowerment, which is a unit under the umbrella of the San Francisco Treasurer and Tax Collector's Office. The work of the Office of Financial Empowerment is to convene, innovate, and advocate to strengthen the economic security and mobility of all San Franciscans. My name is Andrea Yee, and I am the Financial Capability Program Manager for the Office of Financial Empowerment, and I lead our San Francisco Financial Counseling Program. San Francisco Financial Counseling, which was formerly known as Smart Money Coaching, provides free one-on-one financial counseling to anyone who lives, works, or receives services in San Francisco, and that's regardless of immigration status. San Francisco Financial Counseling Services are funded by multiple San Francisco city departments and are provided by 4 service providers who have expertise in providing financial capability services to various communities in San Francisco. The SF LGBT Center is one of those service providers, and our 2 financial counselors joining us today are from the LGBT Center. Before I introduce our counselors, I just wanted to go over a couple of housekeeping items. This is going to be kind of an interactive presentation here, so feel free to go ahead and share your responses and questions in the chat. You can also use the Q&A function. We'll do our best to answer those questions as they come in. This session is being recorded, and I will make sure to send out the recording and our slides to everyone who registered for the event afterwards. But without further ado, let me go ahead and introduce you to today's presenters. So on the line, we have Antonio, who is with the San Francisco LGBT Center. He is someone who has he was born and raised in Utah, but the Bay Area has become his adopted home after 20 years. He holds a degree in finance and mathematics and is currently pursuing a certified financial planner designation. Prior to working at the center, Antonio was employed at major banks and financial service companies. He also loves to help people in the community by volunteering his time as a volunteer income tax assistant, as well as for organizations like the Women's Building and Project Open Hand. Antonio is a proud first-generation Mexican-American and is fluent in both English and Spanish. We also have Andrea Carino with us, who was born and raised in South America and earned her degree from Santa Maria University in Caracas, Venezuela. She has over 10 years of experience in business and corporate law, and she has she's passionate about combining her interest, career, and her background as a native Spanish speaker to empower others in her community. So without further ado, Antonio, Andrea, do you want to go ahead and take it away?
Yes, thank you, Andrea. Good afternoon, everyone. Thank you so much for taking time out of your schedule to join us for today's webinar on navigating your student loans. Again, my name is Antonio Chacon. My preferred pronouns are he, him, él. I am a certified financial counselor through NAC. That's the National Association of Certified Credit Counselors. And I'm joined with my colleague, Andrea Carreño, and she is also a certified financial counselor. We're happy to be here today to discuss student loans. We're going to cover the basics on student loans. I know there's a lot going on with the environment right now, with the change in the administration, the government administration. So we will touch on that a little bit, but we'll just cover the basics through this presentation. But please feel free to ask questions throughout. There are we have some housekeeping rules here. Please, feel free to ask questions throughout. There are housekeeping. We have some housekeeping rules here. Please feel free to ask questions throughout. There are housekeeping rules here. Please feel free to ask questions throughout. There are housekeeping rules here. Please feel free to ask questions throughout. There are housekeeping rules here. We have some I listed save all questions for the end, but you can go ahead and put those in the chat, and then we'll take a pause and try to answer those as we go through the presentation. Let's see. If you have specific questions that are unique to your situation or circumstance, we ask that you schedule a meeting with one of us. That way we can discuss that with you on a personal level. And but if it's a broad question, we're more than happy to answer that. And then if you get disconnected, please just rejoin the webinar and we'll let you right in. All right, to get started, here's a notable fact. So, as of January 2025, the total amount of student loan debt in the US was $1.773 trillion. That is just, wow, that's a lot of money. So this includes 1.693 trillion in federal loans, and 7.57% of that is in private loans. So student loans have the debt has doubled in the last 2 decades, and it is now the second largest type of debt in the US after home mortgage. Here are some stats that we'll go over a few of these. So federal student loans, the average federal student loan balance was approximately 38,000. 42.7 million students had federal student loans. Of those, 4.86 of federal student loans were in default in the fourth quarter of 2024. Private student loans, 7.5% of student loan debt was private. 1.61 of private student loans were in default in the first quarter of 2024. Student loan debt by institution. So the average public university student borrows about $32,000 to get a bachelor's degree today. The median debt for students at Stanford University is $12,000, while the median debt at Southern California Institute of Architecture is $33,750. The average student debt balance for the 40th to 59th percentile is 39, approximately 40,000. And the average student debt balance for the 90th percentile is 81,000. Yeah, these are some interesting facts that are out there, and these are updated. I did get these numbers recently. So in today's situation going on with the change in our administration, we are working with our clients, and these are some tips that we're giving or advice, guidance that we're giving to our clients, to community members. And so everyone that has a student loan right now or is thinking of getting a student loan should be proactive and trying to keep up with what's going on in the news, and also just looking at the studentaid.gov website. So we recommend that you continue making on-time payments, maintain detailed records of all your payments and communications with your servicer. Take screenshots of your current payment count from your studentaid.gov account immediately. We do that in case the current administration decides to erase or get rid of information, payments that students have made in the past. Review and consider adjusting your student loan repayment plan, and complete and submit your FAFSA form immediately if you're currently applying for a student loan, and reach out to your local representative if you're not satisfied or happy with what's going on and you are concerned. We definitely recommend speaking with your local representative. So if you're seeking a student loan, the good news is going to school can be expensive, and student loans can help you make it, even if you can't afford to pay tuition up front, and who can. Some student loans offered through federal financial aid programs have lower interest rates and better repayment terms than student loans from private lenders. Also, federal student loans are fixed interest rates versus student loans from private lenders. They could either be fixed or variable interest. So student loans can help you pay for an education, and education hopefully will pay off and land you a good career, a good profession. So the bad news about student loans is interest. It can really add up when it comes time to paying back your student loan. This is a hypothetical situation where we have a $10,000 student loan, 4.66% annual interest rate, and the repayment term is a 10-year plan. So the total paid with interest is 12,529 spot 37. That's more than $2,500 in interest. So if you change that interest rate, increase it to 9.32%, the total payment for that loan becomes $15,409.69. That's a lot. So definitely when you're thinking of taking a student loan out, consider all the factors and try to think forward and figure out, like, is this something that you want to do and pay off in the future? So those individuals that are seeking student loans, factors to think about, does the program, the school provide a specific credential you need for your target career? How much does the school cost? What are the school's student loan default rates and graduate employment rates? You can ask the school directly or check this website called collegecosts.ed.gov. And then ask yourself, could you earn the same credential at a lower cost elsewhere, such as the community college? A lot of students opt to start out at community college to get their prerequisite education requirements completed. It's a lot cheaper, and you can transfer those credits usually to a university or a different education institution. So, all right, things to think about when you're choosing a loan. The first thing to do is, if you can avoid a loan by paying for your education with grants or scholarships, definitely go that route. So do all your research and try to, apply for grants or scholarships, and hopefully you have a good academic record and you do qualify for those. And if you do decide to take out a loan, pay attention to, one, the interest rates. Federal loans always have lower interest rates than private loans. Additionally, with some subsidized federal loans, the loan won't pick up any interest until after you graduate and start repayment. That's for a subsidized loan. Unsubsidized loans, they do accrue interest while you're in school, and the interest is capitalized, which means the interest for 1 year is added to the balance of the loan, and then interest is calculated on top of that, um, the balance with the principal with the interest from the previous year. So consider payment schedules. With federal loans, you don't have to make payments until after you graduate. But with many private loans, you have to make payments while you're in school. And then you consider, one thing to consider is repayment terms. So with federal loans, you can qualify for deferments or forbearances if you have trouble making payments. And you might be eligible for income-driven plans and some loan forgiveness programs, and we'll talk about that later. So these are the different types of federal student loans. The first one on this list here, taking this off the studentaid.gov website. The first one is a direct subsidized loan. It's eligible for undergrad students with demonstrated financial need. You can get up to 5,500 depending on the grade, on grade level and dependency status. And there's a direct unsubsidized loan eligible for undergraduates, graduates, and professional students. And you can get up to 20,500 minus any subsidized amounts received for the same period, depending on grade level. And then there's direct plus loans. That's where your parents are borrowing money for their dependent undergraduate students. They're also these plus loans are eligible for graduate or professional students. The maximum amount is the cost of attendance determined by the school minus any other financial aid the student receives. And then there are direct consolidation loans. Anyone with eligible federal student loans who wants to combine any number of those loans into a single loan. So when you apply for a student loan, the first thing you need to do is complete and submit a free application through the FAFSA website, which is fafsa.ed.gov. So based on the results of your FAFSA form, your college or career school will send you a financial aid offer, which may include federal student loans. Your school will tell you how to accept all or part of the loan, but always borrow what you need. Don't just take a look, and you can sit down with a financial counselor. Some schools do have a financial counselor on site at their institution where you can talk to that person or make an appointment and discuss your situation. Or you can also make an appointment with one of us. It's free one-on-one counseling, and we can sit down, help you with your application, go through some analysis on determining, like the schools you're interested in, and figure out like how much you'll need for a student loan. So when you consider a student loan, you'll always want to think about the future, because there is a domino effect of taking out a student loan. It has an impact on your future, on determining whether you want to purchase a house. It also impacts your retirement, because if you're initially spending or paying down your debt, you're going to be paying a large amount at first, and that could impact putting away for retirement and postpone that process. We encourage people to put into their retirement as soon as they start working, and continue to build that, because the sooner you do that with compounding interest, your retirement will grow. And definitely that's something to consider. Um, it affects asset accumulation and wealth building. It impacts your household and also your career choice. So these are things to think about when, taking out a student loan, and kind of just think of the future and what your plans are and how it's going to impact your future. So repayment plans. Currently, these are the types of repayment plans. There's standard repayment, and by default, when you finish school or you drop down below a part-time, if you're part-time or below, then standard repayment kicks in through your servicer, and that is usually a set amount for a 10-year period. Usually the payments are pretty large if you've taken out a big loan. There's the graduated repayment, the extended repayment, and then there are income-driven repayment plans. So currently there's the revised pay-as-you-earn repay. That is called SAVE currently, but that may change. We are not sure if that's gonna phase out, but currently, if it does, it'll probably be repay. We really don't know. Pay as you earn. There's the income-based repayment (IBR), and then the income contingent repayment (ICR). So federal student loans enter repayment 6 months after you leave school or drop below full-time enrollment status. A loan servicer such as Ed Financial Services, Nalnet, Mohila, Aid Vantage will notify you when this happens. These companies work under contract with the Department of Education to manage student loans. Your loan will automatically be entered in a standard repayment plan where your loan will be divided into 120 monthly payments over 10 years. But there are other repayment plans that might be better for you. So these are the income-based repayment plans, IBR, and there's the pay as you earn. So under these plans, your monthly payments are set at either 10 or 15% of your discretionary monthly income. And whatever is left at the end of either 20 or 25 years is forgiven. These plans make it easier to avoid the 2Ds, delinquency and default. But you will probably end up paying more money in the long run because interest will be accruing on your loan during the longer repayment term. The good thing about this is your payments are more manageable, they're smaller, and when you do graduate, if you get an entry level position, they usually pay less, and hopefully over time you'll get paid more, and you can gradually increase your payment amount. But the nice thing is with the income-based repayment, it's going to be tied to your income, and it makes it a lot easier to manage and make your payments on time and keep your credit score in good status. And yeah, it's a good way to go. And again, everyone's situation is different, so we recommend just meeting with a financial counselor to discuss your situation and how you want to repay your loan and your income status, and we go over your budget, etc. Default. So why and how to avoid it. Bad things can happen if you fall behind on a federal student loan, but most of them don't start until you're in default. For example, default is 270 days out, which is 9 months behind on your payments. In default, collection fees are added and the entire loan balance is accelerated. So that means it becomes due all at once. If you're in default, it's going to obviously impact your credit score with all credit bureaus, and definitely don't want that. There's going to be potential garnishment of your wages, tax returns, some benefits and liens on your property. And if you're in default, you're ineligible to apply for federal student loans while you're in default. So any loans will stop with the federal government. You can avoid default in the short term by requesting a deferment or forbearance. These options temporarily freeze your loan payment. I know a lot of people are in deferment right now, and also forbearance, just coming out of the COVID situation. People are still struggling with jobs and just getting back on their budgets. So it is happening, and we can assist you with that if you need that. But with some deferments and all forbearances, interest will continue to accrue, and they are only temporary. So if you have an unsubsidized loan, actually both subsidized and unsubsidized, once you start paying, the interest will accrue, and like I said, it capitalizes every year, and you'll be responsible for that interest, even if it's on deferment or forbearance. To get a deferment or forbearance, just call your servicer and ask that might be hard because servicers are extremely busy right now with all the transitions taking place. So you can avoid default in the long term by using an income-driven repayment plan like IVR or Pay to keep your monthly payments affordable. Uh, the IDR plan bases your monthly student loan payment amount on your income and family size. For some people, payments on an IDR plan, their payments can be as low as $0 per month, and that counts as a payment. Uh, so if a loan states that it's going to be forgiven after 20 years, the balance is going to be forgiven after 20 years. The $0 payments do contribute to that term. And a lot of folks are actually on a $0 payment based on their income. Go over here, the SAVE plan, which was the plan that was installed by the Biden Harris administration, and that plan was an income-driven repayment plan. It's based on 10% of your discretionary income. The repayment period is 20 years for undergraduate loans and 25 if you have any graduate or professional loans. Just going to go down to the ICR plan. That is 20% of your discretionary income, and the repayment period is 25 years. I'm just going to take a quick pause and see if anyone has any questions. Let's see here.
Yeah, there is a few questions in the chat. Place on the link. For some news, if just in case if we don't have so much time at the end. So we do have a question here. What is the maximum loan amount from FAFSA for graduated students? And there is another one, how to qualify for independent status for FAFSA.
The second question, I'll have to get back on you with that. Let me do a quick search on the maximum amount of the graduate.
So for graduated professionals, according with the Federal Student Aid website, you can borrow up to 2,500,000 direct on opposite loan each academic year. And for the second question with the FAFSA, there is like 10 there is a 10 qualified items. Okay, just a quick note, check if if you had any issue with your FAFSA requests in the past 2 or 3 months, just check if you actually meet all the conditions to qualify, but also check if there is any technical issue with your application. Okay, I will recommend you to check on both. If you qualify and you submit your application, but you had any issues, check on both, okay, or send submit any complaint forms regarding your process.
Antonio, you're on mute.
Oh, sorry about that. Thank you, Andrea, for answering those questions. We'll continue on. All right, so if you are already in default, you have 3 basic options to get out default. So the first one is just pay the full amount of the loan, which is most likely not going to happen, but it can. There's a rehabilitation, and to rehabilitate your loan, you need to contact your service provider and establish a reasonable and affordable monthly payment amount. And then you have to make 9 monthly payments during a 10-month period. And then the third option is consolidating all your loans into one new loan, and you use it to pay off the defaulted loan, and you then must then make payments on the new loan. This resets the clock too. So like if you've made past payments on the individual loans that you consolidate, those go away, and your loan starts new towards the amount of time that you start making payments. We're going to talk about federal student loan discharge. So your loan can be discharged if your school closes while you're enrolled or shortly after you withdraw. You may qualify for a discharge of your federal student loans if the school closes. Also, if there's false certification, unauthorized payment discharge, this applies when your school falsely certified your eligibility for student loans, such as claiming you had a high school diploma or GED when you didn't, or when someone fraudulently took out a loan using your identity. And then there's total and permanent disability discharge. This applies if you have a medical condition that prevents you from working and either is expected to result in death, has already lasted for 5 years, or is expected to last for at least 5 years. So these are employment-related discharge. There's the PSLF, Public Service Loan Forgiveness. There's teacher loan forgiveness. There's also the Perkin loan cancellation and discharge. So the PSLF, basically, if you work in public service or you work for a nonprofit full time after you graduate, you can qualify the time that you work with the organization. You can use that time as to apply for your public service loan forgiveness, and you can do that going on the studentaid.gov website. So you can also discharge student loans through bankruptcy. It's harder than other types of debt, but not impossible. And I'm just listing here, borrower must show that paying loan would be an undue burden, which most courts assess by determining whether the borrower can maintain a minimal standard of living if forced to repay the student loan. Additional circumstances exist indicating that this state of affairs is likely to persist for a significant portion of the repayment period of the student loans, and the borrower has made good faith efforts to repay the loan. So you just have to meet those conditions. Again, working with an attorney during the bankruptcy process is definitely gonna they'll guide you on that process. So here's a little bit more about public service loan forgiveness. So it forgives the remaining balance of federal direct loans. So to qualify for PSLF, you must be employed by a government organization or a 501c3 not-for-profit organization or other not-for-profit organizations providing specific qualifying services, working full-time for that qualifying employer, repay the loans under an income-driven repayment plan, and you have to make 120 qualifying payments. So to find out if you qualify, you just submit the PSLF employer certification form, which is found on studentaid.gov. And I just wanted to talk about City College of San Francisco. We had talked about, getting if you're interested in going to school and you want to apply for a loan, City College of San Francisco does offer. They have a program. It's called Free City Program, and so they're a great resource. So like I said, if you want to return to school or a student unsure about what to study in college, the City College of San Francisco is a great resource, and they can help you get started, and you can take advantage of their Free City program. So the Free City program provides free tuition and aid for all San Francisco residents. Free City can make it easier to work toward your uh, uh, community college goal, whether it be transfer preparation, job training, upskilling, or career advancement, or lifelong learning. Students do not need to meet income requirements. You can have already achieved a college certificate or degree, and yes, you may still be eligible. Like I said, they're an excellent financial aid. They have a great financial aid office that can help you complete your FAFSA application, and they provide a lot of information and help get you in the right direction. So definitely check them out. And that concludes our webinar. We're a little early today, but we're just going to take some time now to answer some questions. And yeah, Andrea and I, we're here at the SF LGBT Center. We do virtual free one-on-one meetings. We also do in person. We also do over the phone as well. So if you're interested in talking about your repayment plan or your student loans, and have specific questions unique to your circumstance, definitely make an appointment with us, and we can sit down and talk to you about your situation and help you navigate through your student loan. Gonna see if we have any questions.
Yeah, we do. Oh, there is a few questions here. There is a very good question here. Where I got it? Okay, there is a few more. So how do you define discretionary income? That's a great question because your income is different depending on what repayment plan do you want to apply. So that's one of the most fascinating things about the student loans, but also make it very complicated because for every single one is different. So for example, like for the SAVE plan, discretionary income is the difference between your annual income and in 225% of the property guideline. So for your family side, but if you want to apply for another repayment plan, the income is calculated in a different way. So it's interesting, but it could be complicated once you apply, and especially if you're thinking that your income is going to be calculated in some ways, and then you apply for another repayment plan that actually doesn't meet the requirement for your income or your budget. And we have another one. Please advise on how to look for grants and scholarship for med school or graduate students, any resources of websites. We don't have any right now, but if you
Yeah.
contact us, we can keep your information and we can research the info for you. And if we find something, we definitely we're gonna share.
I do have a few websites where you can find more information if you're interested in medical school. So I'll definitely can send that out if you want to email me. There's a question. There's a question. What if you work for your own 501c3? Does that qualify? Does the same for the PSLF? That it does.
Yeah. Oh, I didn't know there were over there. There's no more over there. Right, 30, which one is fine?
I'm also seeing in the chat that someone is asking about applying for the public service loan forgiveness and asking what they need from their employer. Antonio, Andrea, does one of you want to address that?
Yes, so with that, basically you'll go to the studentaid.gov website, and there is a tool that you start and you select your hey, Andrea, can you put it on mute? Andrea? So if you go to the website, there's that tool, and you find your nonprofit using their employee identification number, EIN. And once you pull that up, you begin filling out a form, and you input an email address and a contact person, and that generates a form that's sent to your employer via email, and your employer will verify your employment with the organization, your start date and end date, and whether you were full-time or part-time. And that's how that's verified with your employer. It's also available. You can print out the forms and mail them to the employer. That definitely takes a lot longer, and but that there is that option as well.
Relatedly, in the Q&A, someone asked if the parent works for the federal government, can the student qualify for PSLF?
That I'm not too sure. I would have to look that up, but yeah, I'm not, I would have to get back to you on that question.
Yeah, the best of my knowledge, the student would not qualify for PSLF, but yeah, again, definitely reach out to one of our financial counselors, and they can set up an appointment with you to discuss the details of your particular situation. I think also related to PSLF, there's another question from Susan. Can you work as an independent contractor and receive 1099s for multiple nonprofits and qualify for PSLF?
I don't believe so, but I would have to double check on that. Would you know, Andrea?
Yeah, I know. You cannot be an independent contract. You have to be a former employer. And we have another question related to that. Does this qualify even when I left the company? That's the previous question from Rose. Rose, if you want to apply, you need to be a current employer. That's one of the confusions about the forgiveness. Even if you qualify for everything that they're gonna ask you, you need to be actually you have to be on a former employer at the time that you request the forgiveness. That can be a little confusing as well. And there is another one for Elton. Is there such a thing as a student loan forgiveness for extreme financial hardship due to life-changing event? There is, okay, but the conditions are really extreme. It's like it's very similar on any other hardship, but you need to meet the requirements. Like for example, like if you are disabled or you have any other life change that actually makes almost like impossible to pay your student loans, okay? Only if you 100% qualify, and usually the process is long, but you can reach to us and we can check if you actually qualify, or we can evaluate if there is any other repayment plan that actually works for you, but it's not gonna impact your budget that much and your monthly or your annual income. Yeah, the conditions are very strange, but I mean, you can try, and actually you can send the request, I think like 2 or 3 times. But they're gonna review all your information and they're gonna let you know if you qualify because it's very punctual.
There's a question,
I think we have.
says,
one more.
what happens when I retire? Will my social security be garnished? I honestly don't think I'll ever pay this off. So in those situations, yeah, if you don't make the payments, basically you're going to be in default. So best thing to do is just to work out a payment plan with the servicer and just explain your situation, and we could definitely help you with that process and figure out like what you can afford to pay, and even if it means paying for some time, and hopefully after a period of time the balance will be discharged or uh, uh, yeah gets dropped off. But yeah, that's something that we can work with you on and figure out. But yeah, you definitely don't want to be in default and just ignore making payments on your federal student loans. It's you'll want to communicate and work out a plan um, and make it so that it's possible for you to make some payments. There's a question, can an individual qualify for IDR if you work half-time? Yes. So IDR is just based on your income, whether you work full-time or part-time. We are based in San Francisco. Or there's a question, are we based in San Francisco? So we're located on Market Street, near the freeway entrance on Octavia Boulevard. And then there's a question, do they garnish your wages if payments are not paid on time? If so, when would they start to garnish your wages? So if you're in default, if you haven't paid, and you're in default after 270 days, so at that time, they're not going to garnish your wages right away, and they definitely will send a letter and communicate with you. Hopefully, when it gets to that point, you can work out a payment plan. Like I said, the best thing to do is work out a payment plan with the servicer. And like I said, we can do that together, or you can work with any financial counselor and determine what you can afford and present that to the servicer, and in the hopes that they can work with that and you won't no longer be in default. Okay.
Yeah,
Well,
oh, I just wanted to chime in that I was noticing quite a few questions about excuse me, about folks concerned about wage garnishment. You know, obviously, as Antonio and Andrea have been saying, you know, you really don't want to get to that point. And that there are many options before you get to that point. So please make an appointment with with either Antonio or Andrea so that you don't have to get to that point. But yeah, you know, the big concern is, you know, at that point, not only are they garnishing your wages, but your credit will also have been impacted at that point. So, you know, that's just something that I wanted to flag for folks so that you're aware, right? It's not just a matter of like, oh, they're gonna garnish your wages. It's like it will really have an impact on your credit score at that point before they start garnishing your wages. So yeah, you definitely want to be proactive and, you know, take as much action as you can prior to getting to that point. And again, reaching out to one of our financial counselors, Antonio and Andrea, can very much help walk you through this process so that you can make a plan, make a payment plan, you know, or, make a budget plan so that you can afford those monthly payments and help you avoid getting into a situation like this. Yeah, any last questions or comments before we wrap up here, Antonio, Andrea?
Yeah, always check your options. I know the garnish your social security can be very stressful, okay? Especially if you already retire, if you've been paying your student loan for many years, but there is many repayment plans, okay? I don't think it's gonna be any repayment plan, any perfect repayment plan except the forgiveness, okay? Or not paying your student loans, but there is always an option before, like if, for example, if you already receiving your social security, you may qualify for a hardship plan. It's really hard to get your student loans dismissed, but there is options, okay? And you don't lose anything to check. Or yeah, same with as a regular creditors. Just keep them informed about your situation. Always renew your application. Always make sure that you are actually enrolled, that you are already paying. If by any chance you cannot pay, and have a plan B, okay? You are not going to be in default just because you're missing 1 month of your payment. Same with all the changes. Take your time to re-evaluate what repayment plan actually works for you. Right now it's very confusing, but I wouldn't recommend to anyone just take the first repayment plan that you see, you think is convenient. The student loans are very complex. I would recommend you to use the calculator before you enroll in another repayment plans, or you change, or you want to consolidate. But yeah, student loans, I know can be difficult, but they can be also very flexible.
Yeah, I just want to reiterate what Andrea and Andrea said. Be proactive with your student loans, and work with a financial counselor, work with one of us. We'd love to meet with you if you have questions, and being proactive will save you heartache down the road of, having your credit score lowered because you missed payments. You don't want that. It's just going to have a lot of repercussions down the road if you get to a stage where you're in major default with your student loan. And there's solutions. The best thing to do is, like we said, be proactive and try to do your best to make the payment, and that way your credit score remains intact, and your wages won't get garnished. And that's pretty much, yeah, that's what I recommend. And also just be aware of what's going on right now. Don't believe everything you read that's out there. There's a lot of articles about the Department of Education. We just don't really know what's happening. There's a lot of news floating around, so try not to focus on that too much because it does create anxiety. Just focus on uh, your student loan and your particular situation. And like I said, meet with a financial counselor to address your situation, and kind of tune out, all the news until it becomes official. And then at that time, when we learn of any new legislation, then we definitely relay that to our clients and let them know how that's going to impact a student with their loan debt.
Great. Thanks so much, Antonio and Andrea. Yeah, and like we've been saying, we know the situation is ever evolving. And so, as we get more updates, we will post them to our website and obviously inform our clients about updates as we get them. In the meantime, I did want to reinforce the encouragement to sign up for a free financial counseling appointment with one of our counselors. Their contact information is on the slide, as well as dropped in the chat earlier. Arthur, I'm seeing some questions in the chat about, yes, they are located in San Francisco, and the service, they can meet folks in person, virtually, or over the phone. And as long as you either live, work, or receive some type of service in San Francisco, you qualify for free financial counseling with our program. So yeah, I will go ahead and send out the PDF of the slides along with the recording from today's session out to everyone who registered. And yeah, we really appreciate you joining us today. We appreciate all of your great questions, and we hope to see you at our next webinar, which is happening on March 19th. It's about women and money. So thank you everyone for spending some time with us this afternoon. And thank you, Antonio and Andrea, for that wonderful presentation. Take care,
Thank you.
everyone.
All right. Bye-bye.